LMPD is investigating after a man was killed overnight in southeast Louisville. It's our top story here at 6:30. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alex Dieterer. Police responded to a shooting just before 12:45 this morning on DeMall Avenue, just off Manslick Road. When officers arrived, they found a scene but no victim. Police say soon after officers arrived to the scene, a man arrived at Mary and Elizabeth Hospital with a gunshot wound. It is believed he was shot at the scene. Police say the man died of his injuries at the hospital. Right now, there are no known suspects. Anyone with information is asked to call the anonymous tip line. That's 574 LMPD. Convicted murderer Bryce Rhodes will spend life in prison without parole. The judge signed off on that jury-recommended sentence this week, nearly 7 years after he was first arrested. Rhodes was found guilty of murder in the 2016 deaths of Christopher Jones, Larry Ordway, and Maurice Gordon. While family members read their impact statements, Rhodes showed no emotion in court. Afterwards, family members told us they're happy to finally see justice.
And so now he gets to go to the prison system, structured. He can't drive with the windows down. He can't kiss women. He can't eat Indi's chicken. He can't do none of that. He's going to be structured, and I hope he lives a long life so he can wake up in a long life, in a structured life, with somebody telling him when he has to go to the bathroom.
The judge in the case agreed with the jury's recommended sentence, saying this case stood out as one of the most tragic she's ever seen. Calls for a ceasefire echoed across the waterfront today as hundreds of Louisvillians pleaded for peace in the ongoing Israel-Palestine conflict. WHAS11's Connor Steffen and photojournalist Aspen Hester speak with event organizers and explain what they're doing to help the millions displaced in Gaza from thousands of miles away.
Free, free, free Palestine!
Passionate pleas for peace.
Palestinians want to live with equality and freedom, self-determination, just like any person in this world.
Coming from all backgrounds and ages.
Free Palestine!
Sharing in solidarity and sending a direct message.
Stopping the killing of the Palestinians, civilians. Stop the killing, period, of everybody.
More than 100 people gathered at Waterfront Park to take part in a mile-long peace walk, with the trail simulating Gaza's 25-mile-long coast.
I think what is going on has raised awareness about the Palestinian struggle, about the occupation of Israel to the Palestinian land, and hopefully the people will be aware of that. Humanity will rise, and I'm hoping things will improve.
Organizers say the gathering focused on 4 points: calling for a lasting ceasefire, the immediate flow of life-saving humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip, the release of all Israeli and Palestinian hostages, and the end of Israeli occupation in the West Bank.
I feel like every house in Gaza is holding and carrying a lot of pain. And even if the war is stopped and the ceasefire happened, I feel they need at least 5-6 years to survive, the current situation.
The United Nations Children's Fund says more than 13,000 children have been killed in Gaza in Israel's offensive since October 7th, while others currently suffer from severe malnutrition. It's partly why this group is rallying to provide tangible support for those suffering on the ground, raising funds to donate to organizations helping to provide aid for displaced Gazans.
For us, if we accept, for these people to get killed, to get treated in this way, then we are reflecting a bad image for our society here. We are telling people it's okay.
As pleas for peace continue, a strong show of support for those suffering abroad from right here in Louisville. From Waterfront Park, Connor Steffen, WHAS11, on your side.
Event organizers are raising money for 2 organizations. Those are the United Nations Relief and Works Agency and the Peace Dove, a local Louisville effort. For more information, you can head to our website, WHAS11.com. Metro Council members will hear final arguments tomorrow as they decide whether to remove Anthony Piagentini for ethics violations. Attorneys for Piagentini rested their case earlier this week, revealing the councilman no longer works for the company at the center of the investigation.
And is Mr. Piagentini still working for the CEOC?
No.
Rick Remmers, a senior advisor for the Louisville Healthcare CEOC Council, testified that the councilman's consulting contract ended last November. He says Piagentini chose not to return. Piagentini co-sponsored an ordinance to secure the CEOC $40 million in grant funding, only to later recuse himself from the final vote and take a job with the same company. He was later found guilty of ethics violations. Will be at council court when it resumes tomorrow at 3 in the afternoon. Well, March is here and the madness has finally begun. Just before we went on the air, we learned where our area teams will be playing in this year's tournament. So let's start with Kentucky. Kentucky went on a 5-game winning streak in the regular season, but stumbled in the SEC tournament with an early exit to Texas A&M. They'll be headed to Pittsburgh as the 3 seed in the South bracket. Their first opponent will be Oakland. Meanwhile, Big Red and first-year head coach Stephen Lutz will be taking Western Kentucky to their first tournament since 2013. The Hilltoppers got an automatic bid after winning the CUSA tournament last night. They'll be heading to Indianapolis as the 15 seed in the South region. As well, their first opponent will be Marquette. Sports anchor Mason Hordisky will be joining us later on in sports to break down these matchups.